Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. Up next on the GM, we're going to be talking about training camp standouts, offensive version. Do me a quick favor, hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's go. So, first up, man, training camp is in full swing, as you guys know. I'm sure you guys have heard many reports. I'm sure you guys have saw video clips of different players standing out, shining, making big plays. And so, first up, man, got some guys we want to focus on is Zay Flowers. Okay. Zay has had a buzz since he was drafted. He had not run a route in the NFL. He had not caught a pass at practice, and he had already had a lot of buzz. In fact, most people, including me, believe Zay was the best wide receiver in this year's draft class. And so everything I've seen and heard of Zay, man, has been as advertised. You know, some guys don't always translate from what they did in college to what they do in the pro, but Zay has done that. I'm reading some reports and watching some videos. Zay's quickness is off the charts. His speed uh, looks to be even up a notch from what we thought it would be. He's leaving defenders behind. He's a route running technician, and a lot of times you don't find a guy who has elite speed and quickness always being the best route runner. But Zay is that. Zay has elite level route running ability, and he has an ability to get open over and over and over again, which is the report coming out of training camp that Zay at this point seems to be uncoverable. Okay. Now I know that it is training camp and it is against guys you kind of learn um, from an offensive perspective, meaning Zay is matching up with similar guys every day. So he kind of knows or learns their coverage skill. You know, do they get off balance easily? Do they have missteps? And so a route running technician has an ability to set a guy up based on his foot position, his body positioning. And so it sounds like Zay is going to be a guy, right? I'm not even talking about number one and number two and all those kind of things. So that is not important for me at this point. But I think he does have an ability to make big plays over and over again this upcoming 2023 season. Another guy on the offensive side of the ball is Nelson Aguilar. Nelson Aguilar had a lot of buzz coming out of all of the offseason workouts, the mini camps, the mandatory OTAs, and the talk about Nelson Aguilar was simply that he just continued to make plays. He was able to get open. He was able to make contested catches, so on and so forth. And that is still the talk concerning Nelson Aguilar right now. Um, he beat Marlon Humphreys on two different plays yesterday. And Marlon Humphreys being the Baltimore Ravens' number one guy, probably a top five corner in the NFL. For Aguilar to continue to beat him, you know, both in minicamp and also now in OTAs, it says a lot about Nelson Aguilar's development as a wide receiver. Sounds like his route running has improved, and sounds like his hands have definitely gotten better. So Nelson Aguilar is a guy who sounds like he's ready to be a big integral part of this Baltimore Ravens offense, and I'm excited, man, because that allows us to go right now three deep at the wide receiver position: Odell, Zay, and Aguilar. So man, I'm super excited, man, to hear that Aguilar wasn't just a mini camp OTA producer. Excuse me, still having that morning coffee. He's not just an OTA producer. Now that the pads are on and there is a level of contact that can be implemented, he is still doing his thing. Another guy on the offensive side of the ball that I'm super excited to hear about is Tariq Black. Uh, of course, again at the wide receiver position, but I'm super excited to hear about Tariq Black, a guy who we didn't really know much about when the Baltimore Ravens picked him up. A guy who came in on a low deal. And many of us may have even thought that he wasn't going to even make any noise. But the benefit of having a Tariq Black, he offers some size, offers some speed, and he offers a big catch radius. And Tariq Black had some buzz coming out of the mini camp workout. His route running was talked about. His hands were talked about. Him being able to make contested catches was also being talked about, and he is still producing in training camp. Sorry. And I think that's important because again, now that the pads are on, there is can be a level of tight coverage. It can be press man, bump and run, all those kind of things where the wide out is being jammed at the line of scrimmage. If the defender can get his hands on him, and that guy is still able to do what he needs to do to get open and make himself a target for the QB. So those three guys, man, super excited to hear about, man. All at the wide receiver position, all new additions to the Baltimore Ravens receiving corps this year. uh, Aguilar, Black, and Flowers. Super excited to hear that those guys are doing their thing, and that Lamar Jackson is developing a level of trust and chemistry with those three guys. Let's jump to the defensive side of the ball. I was going to do this in two different parts, but I think that time will allow us to do both parts. The defense side of the ball, again, still hearing buzz about Odafe, power, speed. Um, getting consistent pressure in the backfield. Again, I know this is just training camp, but now that the pads are on, if he's still able to do what he was advertised to do in minicamp, I think that that bodes well for the Baltimore Ravens defense. So I'm glad to hear that Odafe is on target, I guess, or he projects. That's a better word. He projects to make a third season push to become that pass rusher he was drafted to be. Another guy that is making some noise um, in training camp is Jalen Armour Davis. JAD is a guy who, of course, the Baltimore Ravens drafted in the middle rounds last year and didn't get a lot of playing time, had some injuries, had some mishaps in practice and in camp and in season. And so he kind of fell into the doghouse a little bit, or at least that's what it seemed. But it sounds like JD has finally gotten healthy. He's able to get on the field and he's competing. And there was a little bit of talk. I was listening to some other people speak about JAD and what he's doing in training camp. There was a little bit of talk that he may challenge Rock Ya-Sin for that starting position. I don't think so. Because number one, I think Rock has 4 years, I believe, of experience as a starting level corner. Um, and so I think that Rock was brought in to be that starter. I'm certainly okay and glad to hear that JAD may be pushing him, right? Because camp competition always helps develop character and helps light a fire, especially if the challenge is that they may not be the starter, right? If Rock is brought in and JD beats him out, then that says a lot about what Rock was or was not doing in camp. So super excited to hear that JD is mended and that he is competing. And personally, I would still like to see Rock as the starter, but but certainly if JD is pushing him, that bodes well for the Baltimore Ravens only because we need quality depth. Let me see who else I think I heard about. I think that's it. I think those are the main guys that stood out. Let me know somebody that has stood out to you, some reports, some news that you guys have heard about. Some guys I may not have mentioned. Drop that in the comment section, man. I would love to hear about it. I'm honest enough to say that we here at the GM, we cannot get all of the news, right? We can't get all the names right. We can't remember all of the reports. I'm not reading off a script, so I don't have the notes right in front of me. So everything has to be done on memory from what I've read and things of that nature. So let me know if anybody you guys are excited to hear about, and let me know somebody to watch out for. I got a segment coming up later today, maybe early tomorrow, talking about guys to watch for, some guys who I haven't mentioned up until this point who may be making a little buzz in um in training camp, man, who may be vying for a roster spot. We are roughly 39 days from the beginning of the 2023 season. I think personally there are probably 47, 48 roster locks. And then I think there's 5 positions or 5 roster spots up for grabs. We will do a version of that probably right before the first preseason game. We'll do locks and we'll do some predictions or some kind of projection right before the first preseason game for guys who can stand out and lock up a spot for themselves. So listen, man, I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM, and we're out.